This is the only green juice recipe you need, in my opinion. And here's how you make it. You start with half a pound of greens, and of course the measurement will vary depending on which type of green you use, but I'll explain more on that later. Then we use celery, anywhere from half a bunch to a whole bunch of celery. Then one large cucumber, one apple, whether red, green, yellow, any variety you want. Then one lemon peeled, and lastly, 1 or 2 inches of ginger root. And there you go, that makes this juice, which I think is amazing. It's the only green juice recipe you need because not only are there tons of health benefits, but also you can use this recipe as a template and change it up whenever you make it. And I'm going to explain how to do that for the rest of this video. Alright, really quick, for those of you new to the channel, I'm Ryan and this is Minus the Gym. Welcome. And for those of you returning, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the video. So let's first talk about the greens. I mentioned that I use half a pound of greens in this recipe, but I want to clarify that that's half a pound of the more dense greens, whether spinach or chard or collards or mustard greens or dandelion greens, because I switch it up a lot of the times when I make this. Okay, this juice that I just made has mint. And when I use herbs like mint, parsley, cilantro, etc., I don't use half a pound, I use 1 bunch. Okay, so however much is in the bunch from the grocery store, I don't know. But I just wanted to clarify that you don't have to use half a pound of greens. That's just typically what I use for the denser greens, all right? And what are the health benefits of these greens? Well, there's a ton, all right? There's chlorophyll, which is really good for your blood, very cleansing for the blood. There's all kinds of phytochemicals and antioxidants, but what I really want to emphasize is that you get a lot of amino acids, which is protein, and you also get a ton of minerals from the greens. So those are the main benefits that you get from drinking a green juice like this. And I do want to also mention that when it comes to the amino acids, right, the protein, what's really interesting is that greens, a lot of the greens, like spinach, have more protein per calorie than red meat. So I just want to emphasize that they're per calorie, they are very dense with protein. Now, the second ingredient that I mentioned is celery. I often will use an entire bunch of celery, but sometimes half a bunch. It just depends on how much I have and what kind of mileage I want to get out of the celery. But here's the thing to understand is that there's many health benefits to celery. What I want to emphasize, besides all the vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients and all the usual stuff, is that celery is very good for your liver, okay? And specifically, it has these sodium cluster salts that can scrub dermatoxins from your body, and what that means is that it's really good for your skin. So if you're suffering from any kind of skin problems, especially long-term eczema or psoriasis, I highly recommend incorporating celery into your daily diet, whether you're eating it in a salad, eating it plain, or juicing it. And if you haven't already, if you're interested, check out my video on how I fixed my eczema using celery juice. It's a recommendation from Anthony William. He goes by the medical medium, but I took his advice and it worked. I'm going to put that video somewhere up here along the top of the screen for those of you who want to check it out, all right? But absolutely, and I don't recommend substituting the celery in this recipe, okay? This is, I think, the only ingredient possibly that I recommend you use celery if you have it. Don't substitute it. It's just awesome, and you want to include it. Next, we have cucumber. And again, cucumber, like the other foods, has a lot of health benefits, but what I want to emphasize is that it's very hydrating for your liver, okay? Cucumber is just very hydrating in general. It hydrates your whole body. It's a very water-dense fruit, all right? And yes, it's a fruit because it has seeds in it. A lot of people call it a vegetable, and I call it a vegetable too, but I'm just trying to be botanically correct in this video. But the real reason why we add the cucumber, at least for me, is that it's so water dense that it helps thin out the juice and balance that bitterness from the greens, okay? So I recommend using a cucumber if you have it on hand. If not, you can substitute with zucchini. I've used that. And I think jicama would be a good option too, but I haven't tried that one, okay? But what I like about cucumber is that it has a mild flavor. So it adds a lot of water, a lot of good juice with a very mild, almost sweet flavor, okay? And that brings me to the next ingredient, which is apple. All right, I love using green apple. I love the tartness, but you can use any kind of apple you want. I mean, we all know that apples are good for you, right? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Also good for your liver. It's kind of funny. So many of these foods are good for your liver, and they're very alkalinizing. But what I do want to emphasize with the apple is that we mainly use it to sweeten the recipe. So again, we have the bitterness from the greens, and our taste buds nowadays are really not acclimated to such bitterness. So we add the cucumber and the apple, and what that does is it drops the bitterness and balances it out with sweetness. So you can substitute the apple if you don't have any on hand or you don't like apple for some reason. You could use an orange, you could use grapes. I've used red grapes and green grapes. I have even used pineapple. I mean, you can use any fruit you want as long as you like it and it's sweet, because the whole point is to sweeten up the juice, right? So don't go using avocado or anything like that. You want water-dense, sweet fruit. All right, and next we have lemon. Now, lemon, again, has many health benefits. A good blast of vitamin C, I will mention, but you're getting plenty of vitamin C elsewhere in this recipe. But lemons are very alkalinizing, okay? Meaning, like, a lot of the foods that we eat nowadays are acid-forming foods. That means when you metabolize them, the metabolic residue left behind is acidic, okay? Obviously, the raw lemon has an acidic pH, okay? A lot of people know that. But when you eat a lemon and you metabolize it, the metabolic residue or metabolic ash left behind is very alkaline. And that's a good thing, because actually our blood needs to be slightly alkaline at about 7.35, 7.4 pH. So if we're eating way too many acid-forming foods, the body has to buffer and eliminate all those acids, and it does that by sacrificing minerals from the body. So this whole recipe is very alkaline, but the lemon really boosts it, okay? And you want to add a lemon. If you're not going to have this juice, add a lemon to your water. Just squeeze a lemon into a glass of water every day, and that alkalinizes the water, and it gives you that alkaline boost, which is going to be all around great for anybody. And then lastly, we've got the ginger root. All right, this adds, don't use this much, by the way. This is way too big of a piece. I would use something like this, okay? Like 1 or 2 inches, like a chunk. Even then, that's a lot. I like some heat, some spice to my juice. If you don't want any heat in your juice, then skip it. It's optional. But the main benefits, and there's a lot of benefits to ginger root, it's medicinal. I will say that antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, those are properties of ginger that I really love. I try to consume raw ginger root every day. So yeah, you can also use, if you want to substitute it, try jalapeno pepper, serrano, habanero. Any kind of spicy pepper is going to have great health benefits. I prefer ginger though. I actually find it to be more tolerable than those hot peppers. And I like the specific health benefits, the medicinal benefits that you get from ginger root. All right, everybody, so that's how you make the only green juice recipe you need, in my opinion. Remember that it's a template, so you can substitute, change it up, get variety in the greens, in the fruits, even with the cucumber and different things in this recipe, so you can keep it interesting. And yeah, I hope you try it. I hope you like it. And I hope you hit subscribe and you stay tuned to Minus the Gym so I can share more with you in the future. All right? And with that said, I will see you in the next one.